Well, they pay the most taxes, fund the lion's share of the programs, and yet to hear a lot of politicians tell it, they're not paying enough or funding enough. Class warfare is nothing new, of course, in politics, but ripping a whole class of people like this is. Here's my worry, that we are lumping success with sinister. Now, I don't know if that's a good idea or longer term, a wise one. What do my panelists think? Let's ask Jonathan Hoenig, John Layfield, Tracy Burns, and Peter Schiff. Peter, open season on rich guys like you. How do you feel about that?
Well, I don't know about me, but I agree with your sentiment. Unfortunately, I think it's going to get worse. I think, our country is in some very serious trouble. And one of the reasons it's going to get worse is the politicians are going to attempt to fix it. And, one of the ways they're going to fix it is by vilifying and taxing the rich and doling the money out to everybody else. But when you do that, you actually hurt the poor more than the rich, because the rich have one thing they can do. They can stop working. They can retire. They can lie on the beach. They don't have to earn money. They don't have to employ people. They don't have to produce products. They can retire and quit. And that's what's going to happen if we raise the tax rates up so high. And it's just going to be, it's another reason that I'm as bearish as I am.
Jonathan, what do you make of that?
Well, Neil, it's unbelievable. If any other group was vilified the way the rich are, they'd never allow it. If it was Southerners, if it was fatties, if it was Jews, if it was lefties, you would never stand for it. But for some reason, the rich are convenient whipping boys. I think most politicians believe that the rich get rich on the backs of the poor, and they see it as their job not to protect all Americans' rights, but to basically redistribute wealth from those who've earned it to those who haven't. It's not a moral idea, and as Peter pointed out, it's a terrible economic course of action.
Imagine if you were a fat lefty. Man, you're really in big trouble. Tracy?
But to Jonathan's point, part of the reason that they're getting away with it is because there are a fair amount of rich people out there, Warren Buffett being one of them, that actually believes the rich should be taxed more.
Well, the super rich believe that. Those who have $1 gazillion believe that. But that's not typical, obviously.
No, it's not, and it's unfair. And I think what they're still missing is by raising the tax rates, they are killing the entrepreneurs, the small business people, because this trickles right down through their tax return. It raises the cost of everything for them. A big chunk of the new jobs that come out in this country come from small businesses, and raising taxes will kill that.
Well, John Layfield, I just had a top Clinton advisor here with me, a rich guy in his own right, and I really appreciate his honesty, but he apparently had tried to talk to Hillary Clinton about this vilifying the rich is not a long-term wise strategy. Class warfare is not a good strategy. Not everyone who's rich is evil. He kind of said it fell on deaf ears. What do you make of that?
Because she has to run on a populist message to get elected. Look, this is what Hugo Chavez got elected, and you see in a very extreme sense what happened to Venezuela with their market economy. This is a stupid redistribution of wealth. Look, when you have people who have made their own money, who have built their own companies, to go after them and say, listen, we're going to take money from you basically because you're successful, very successful, and we're going to give it to these people who haven't done anything, who are on welfare rolls around the nation. It kills incentive. It is not what America's all about, and it will hurt our economy.
The problem is, Neil, is the environment is so ripe for this kind of rhetoric because the economy is really bad. And, the Fed has created so much inflation to try to prop up Wall Street and prop up the housing market that the cost of living for average Americans is going through the roof. And so they can barely afford to pay for their food, for energy. They're watching their home equity evaporate, and they're looking for villains. Yeah, they're looking for someone to blame.
But again, I think it's all because it's an election year. It's all because it's an election year. If we were not in an election year, you would not be bashing the rich. We wouldn't be hearing all this, and this whole populist movement would be gone.
Well, I think they're going to keep bashing them after the election.
Yeah, I do think he's right about that, Tracy. I think they're going to keep this theme going. But go ahead, Jonathan.
Yeah, Neil, there's been a total shift in this country. We used to worship success. We used to respect people who are successful and accomplished. Now the politicians, they worship those who need, and they feel as the rest of us who actually work for a living, it's our responsibility to provide them for whatever their needs happen to be. And I just think, again, it's a very un-American idea, and I think it's just exactly the wrong course of action, both for this country and for this economy.
All right, but John Layfield, one of the reasons why I think it will continue is, and those who even get leery of this class warfare say, well, it's the rich's fault because the chasm has widened considerably. The CEO who used to make 30 times what his lowest paid worker did is making 300 times today, and reap what you sow. What do you think of that?
That's what the market bears. Look, I couldn't agree more with Peter about where the economy is headed, but I do agree about this redistribution of wealth being stupid. That's what the market bears. You have double the amount on cash balance sheets in corporate America since 2001. Jack Welch is worth a lot more than the guy down in the mailroom. I'm sorry. Yeah. You can try to redistribute that all you want. Yeah. That is the simple of the market, and it's a market working efficiently.
One of the big problems, though, is the inflation that the Fed has created over the years has redistributed wealth in the other direction, from working Americans to the financiers, to Wall Street. They've gotten rich spending all this, this new money, this easy credit that the Fed has pumped out. But that's why the cost of living is going up. Meanwhile, our manufacturing base is crumbling, and that's reducing the standards of living of working Americans.
Our manufacturing base is not crumbling. You're wrong about the numbers. No, you got to check the numbers. The manufacturing base is not.
All right, guys, we're going to take a quick break here. We'll talk about manufacturing base tomorrow. That's a good day. Tomorrow's a good day. Talk about